welcome to the Dirty Mind Podcast. My name is Dirt of the aforementioned Dirty Mind Podcast. I'm the one who's talking. Hello. Today we're going to be talking about how I fixed my VR performance on the personal computer of mine. My very own personal computer, my very own VR. It's crazy. I mean, it wasn't originally my VR. It was my mother's. And that's not even a joke. My mom had a VR headset and then wasn't using it very much and was like, "Hey, Dirt, you want this?" And I was like, "Yes, Mother. Yes, please." And that's how that transaction went. So, still rocking that Quest 2 headset. Maybe one day, well, I'll upgrade to, whatever comes after the number 2. So we're going to be talking about the ways in which I made it so that I could play VR without getting 3 frames per second. Well, technically I was still getting 3 frames, but I was getting more than that as well. I was getting at least 3. It was more in the ballpark of 48 to 70, which is pretty great. That's much better than just 3. So all that and more to be listened, to be heard coming up. But before we get to that, it's time for everyone's favorite segment, Old News. I got nothing new for you. Today's old news is all about the PlayStation VR. Oh, what a great VR headset we got there. So comfortable. But there's a new bundle coming out, Firewall Zero Hour. If you haven't played that, it's a great little game with a small scale multiplayer. You're sort of slower, but it makes sense because it's VR and you don't want to be throwing up your spaghetti all the time. But this is a bundle that comes with the AIM controller, the PlayStation VR AIM controller. Oh, it's great. It sort of reminds me of the PS Move. They had the sharpshooter controller, I believe it was called. They had that bundle with Resistance 3. Oh, wonderful. But now we have the evolution of that, the PSVR AIM controller, all in one. You don't have detachable controllers. It's just one beautiful, silky controller that sort of reminds me of a Nintendo Wii controller. It's nice. So many controllers. But that's going to be a fantastic bundle if you don't have the AIM controller and or Firewall Zero Hour. What a bundle. Just, it's going to be a great one to look forward to if you're the type who is going to enjoy that item. And that's coming August 2018, right around the corner. Oh, it's beautiful. So much to look forward to. Welcome back. So, talking about improving VR performance, you gotta look at what the different ways in which you could be increasing the performance from hardware and software perspectives. Sorry, excuse me. I just had 2 large fries. Anyway, starting from the software perspective, I was looking at the NVIDIA control panel, and there were a few different posts in which I was looking for inspiration and advice on how to get the most out of my CPU. And this was not the only thing I did, but this is where I sort of started. In the NVIDIA control panel, not to be confused with the NVIDIA app. Those are 2 completely different pieces of software. In the control panel, I have an NVIDIA item. It's the thing inside the computer. It's an NVIDIA. That's the name of the company. It's a small company, but it's getting there. So the control panel, under the 3D settings, there are a few different things that I was trying, and there's no way to know which did the trick because none of them did the trick, but they did have a nice little boost for No Man's Sky in particular before I did the, and I'll get into this later, but I did a fairly drastic approach, solution, which really was significant, but we'll get to that. In the control panel, some of the settings that I was looking to improve were performance. Hold on, I got my list here. Under Manage 3D Settings, image scaling off, so that's the opposite of on, anti-aliasing off, or maybe on per app, depends on what you want. Low latency on, not ultra. You put low latency on, but not on ultra and not on off. And then texture filtering quality, high performance, and then triple buffering off and vertical sync off. A lot of these things are per app. That's why I said on per app. That's okay. I put in parentheses in my notes. I said in parentheses on per app. And I just I didn't actually know what I was saying when I said that. I was just reading it. And this is what happens when you write notes 3 or 4 days in the past and then 3 or 4 days into the future. Excuse me, sorry, I just had 2 large fries. 3 or 4 days into the future, you read the notes directly and you don't remember the context of anything. That's the danger, is you just sort of read it verbatim and it may or may not be applicable or make any sense. So, yeah, what I was meaning was that things like anti-aliasing and VSync, those are definitely handled in most games. They have their own settings for that. So you don't have to worry about that. Don't have NVIDIA do that directly. You can let the game choose. Let the game decide. Just like, let the ring bearer decide. And then they go into the Mines of Moria, and it's just the worst. It's just like the worst thing that could have ever happened. Thanks a lot, ring bearer. I guess it's better than freezing to death. It's debatable. But those were all different settings that I messed with, not limited to, what's the phrase? Including but not limited to those different items. But I don't know what it was, but some of them did have a nice little boost for No Man's Sky. I didn't really try out any other games because I don't know the names of any other games. I only played one game. And that was all well and good, but it wasn't quite good enough. So here's the real scoop. Okay, here's the triple scoop of ice cream, of grasshopper pie in particular. Now I want some grasshopper pie ice cream. So what was coming up on the horizon was the discontinuing of the Windows 10 support, as we all probably know, because it's so, it's an impactful moment for computers everywhere. 40 million or whatever, I don't know, it's a big number. And so I had one computer that was still on Windows 10. Not my main computer, but my sort of backup computer. And that's the one I'm using right now. I use it mostly for audio recording, and then also sometimes I do like a dual PC situation. So it's helpful to have. This used to be my main computer, but I wanted to upgrade. So I upgraded in 2021, got a new computer with all this new fancy technology. It's pretty great overall. I doubled the RAM, etc., and some other good things. Put a little hat on it, a little bowler hat. It was pretty cute. Anywho, since this one I still wanted to be able to use, but it was on Windows 10, I had to figure out how can I upgrade this to Windows 11. I don't want to just throw it into a dumpster. It's still got some good stuff. It's still got 32 gigabytes of RAM, and the GPU is nothing amazing, but it gets the job done. So I did the app, what's it called? PC Health Check app, I believe. And that said, hey, all you need to do is upgrade your processor. And I was like, oh, well, that's not too bad. I could probably get one for like $150 or something. One that's just a little generation higher or whatever. And then boom, Windows 11 compatible. But then I thought to myself, wait, hold on, Dirt. You hold all of the horses, all the different horses, every different color horse, all the different height horses. It doesn't matter if they wear shoes or not. You hold them. What if, instead of just upgrading this processor, we spend a little extra monies and we upgrade the processor on the main computer to be really good? and then take that existing processor and move it into this computer because they still had the same motherboard capabilities, DR4 or whatever. And I was like, Dirt, that's an interesting idea. Thank you, Dirt, for coming up with that idea. I respect your idea, and I will deliberate promptly, and I will get back to you with my result. And then I said, okay, Dirt, I respect you for not answering rashly, but thinking about it methodically. So I did think about it, and I did come up with this solution. The solution was saying, yes, Dirt, that is a good idea. Let's go with that. So, full transparency about my hardware that we got here on the old computer. This one, I don't want to call it old. It is old, but it's not. It still's got so much life left in it, I think, and it looks so cute. That little buddy has got Corsair 32 gigs of RAM. It's got a pretty old 1070 Ti GPU. It still works, I can still, I was able to run VR on it. It can still do some things. You never know. And then the processor, though, or wait, was that the 1070? No, I feel like it was, hold on. Give me a moment. Okay, I'm back. I had to grab the CPU because I did not want to give any false information. You know this channel, the Dirt the Gamer channel, is all about accuracy and just facts. You get the facts right. You get the facts the first time, and it's always this. Oh my God, I had to go up and down a flight of stairs, so bear with me. So the CPU that I had originally in this bad boy here was the Ryzen 7 1700. And so the 1700, it's really only compatible with Windows 10. And so I was needing something that could upgrade to Windows 11. And so looking over my shoulder to my main computer now, that's got, here's the whole list. Get ready, get your pens out. Get your permanent markers, writing it on your wrist or whatever. That's not a very good surface. Forearm? Your forearm, if it's chunky enough, that could be a nice little writing surface. Your thigh, upper thigh, hamstring. So that has 64 gigs of RAM. It's got a 3070 Ti. Kind of old at this point, but it's still, oh my goodness, I got no complaints about that 3070 Ti. It's a workhorse. It's great. And then the CPU for that was a Ryzen 5 5600X, 5650X, 5650X. I think 5650X. We're just going to assume that that's the truth and that's correct, and then we're just going to move forward. And so that CPU was obviously able to run Windows 11 because it was currently running Windows 11 when I had this whole eye-opening experience about the longevity of these computers. So what I needed was just a new CPU that was better than the 5650 and was able to justify the price of replacing it, and so that I could move that into the older computer. So what I ended up doing was getting myself essentially the top of the line, more or less top of the line CPU for the motherboard. So what the motherboard was capable of handling, and what I landed on was the Ryzen 9 5950X. Goodness, there's so many numbers. I think that's it was definitely a Ryzen 9. And I think it was 5950X. I think there's just so many numbers. Like, why do they use all these numbers? Why not just call it like 201? And then the next one they do, name it 202. And then the next one, name it 203. But there's so many just nuances to all the differences and all these things. And they upgrade some things. And they got the different cores and different threads and gigahertz and yada, 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 yada. So many different varieties. They got these numbers, and then they wonder why you get confused when you're calling the support line saying, "Where's my warranty? Did my warranty expire?" And they say, "I'm going to need some more information than just my computer thing, sir." And I say, "All right, it's the computer thing that doesn't have the fan." And they're like, "That's not helpful." So it was kind of nerve-wracking for me to think about replacing a CPU because I did not physically build my computer myself. I had it built by a company that said, "We're going to build it for you." And I was like, "I love that." And they said, "We're going to charge you money for that." And I was like, "I don't love that, but okay, because I don't want to do it myself." And so I had that happen. And I've done plenty of things like adding an Elgato HD 60 thing with that, where you could put the HDMI and then there goes the in and then there goes the out and then bada boom, bada bing. And then adding different SSDs, different hard drives, that's easy. Forget about it. But other than that, I don't have a tremendous amount of experience with doing hardware replacements in a PC because I was a console gamer until I don't know, 10 years ago. I was all console for the most part. It was PlayStation and Nintendo, and I would play a lot of Xbox at friends' houses because I had a ton of friends back in the day. You don't even know. I had so many friends, and they all had Xboxes. It was great. I did have one friend that had PlayStation, or maybe two friends. I had three friends that had PlayStation, but I felt like Xbox. It was more guaranteed that my friends would have Xboxes. I wonder why that is. Maybe it was a regional thing. I don't know. Maybe they were just supporting the homeland because of Microsoft. I don't know. I don't really have a whole lot of patriotism in regards to gaming consoles. I never felt that appeal. I feel like it's more about the UI. You get a good UI or just, games that are good, then yeah, it's sold. But mostly it's about the UI and the sound effects. And you boot up a PlayStation 3 and tell me that music doesn't make you feel something. That orchestral strings. Oh, it's so good. Anywho, we're going to take a little bit of a short break and hear a word from today's sponsor. Sometimes you want the taste of barbecue sauce, but you don't have anything that you could dip into barbecue sauce. That's when you want barbecue water. Finally, it is here. The ultimate solution for those of us who need the taste of barbecue on our lips at all times. Barbecue water is exactly what it sounds like. It's water flavored with barbecue. It's basically the best thing you could ever drink because you don't have to choose between having barbecue sauce and hydrating yourself. You get to do both at the same time. You get the H2O with the BBQ. H2O BBQ. Oh, that's good. They should put that on the label. It's probably too many letters, though. It'll confuse them. And there's also a number in there. Yeah, okay, maybe not, but it could be a good piece for their marketing. They didn't give me much more than what I already had. The only other thing they said was get yours today where it is available, which is not super helpful because I would like to know where it's available. And if they had the name of a store or a couple stores, that would be great. And then I could see if there is any in my area, and then I could look up on their website. I could say, hey, do you have barbecue water? And they could give me an answer. But because they didn't have any more of that information, I don't know what else to do about it. And I don't want to just look it up and just say barbecue water and then see what else comes up, because maybe another brand has barbecue water. And I want to be able to support this brand, right? They're paying big monies for this sponsored segment here. They're paying upwards of several pennies. And, I want to do them justice and I want to support them the best I can. So I don't want to run the risk of typing in barbecue water and getting someone else's barbecue water, like secondhand barbecue water. I can't imagine anything worse. But if you guys can find out the name of the company, I don't think there's no real helpful anything. Maybe it's only one. Maybe they have the monopoly on barbecue water and they're not allowing anyone else to make it, or maybe no one else knows that this is an up-and-coming product here, so no one knows to get it on the ground floor of it or to try and make a competitor. It's hard to know, but yeah, just look for barbecue water. Support them wherever you can. It's a great product. It's water flavored with barbecue. I mean, what a deal, you know? You can take it anywhere, and it's delicious. Barbecue water available where it's available. Oh, what a great sponsor that was. You should check them out. So, getting back to the CPU swappage story. I tried out a CPU swap on a really old computer that has been basically dead and buried for the most part for a long time. And I tried that out with the thermal paste and all that. And I basically just took it apart, cleaned it, put it back, and that gave me the confidence. I turned it on, made sure that it worked, and that gave me the confidence to try it out on the computers that I actually cared about. So I went ahead and I took apart this PC. It was nice and heavy. Goodness gracious, it was way heavier than I thought. I guess having 5 hard drives in there is. I mean, some of those are solid state, so they're light, but it really weighs it down. So, using the things, I used what you're recommended to get everything prepped. I used a pry bar to pick things apart. I used the largest screwdriver I have to get things out of the way, get the cooling fan off to the side and all that, and I made sure to use all of the best gloves made completely out of wool, nice and fluffy. That's what we wanted, and I did it on the carpet wearing socks. That's the way to do it. For anyone who is not in on the joke, static electricity, you want to keep that away from a computer. So all the things I'm telling you are things not to do. I just want to put that in there just for legality, just so you know. Don't do those things. So anywho, when I took apart the CPU to get the processor off, it wasn't too bad on this computer because it wasn't put together that long ago. So that was no big deal. But then removing the CPU from the older computer that I want to say 2017, 2016, 2017 was when it was put together, the older one. When I was getting the cooling fan, trying to take the cooling fan off of the CPU, it was not budging. It was pretty stubborn, and I was thinking to myself, okay, so maybe this requires a little more elbow grease, as they say. Excuse me. Sorry, I just had 2 large fries. I don't think elbow grease is an actual product, but it's more of a phrase or a state of mind. I don't know. So I'm prying it up, and I had already warmed up the computer to get things, a little more liquidy as much as possible with the thermal paste. And I was like, okay, I just need to go for it. Just put my full effort into it because I definitely wasn't putting all of my effort into it. Yeah, I was trying to be super delicate, but I was like, all right, let's really do this. So I put some muscle in. And then I heard sort of a Velcro sound. And I thought, that's not what I expected when taking apart a computer. Velcro is not the type of sound I wanted or expected to hear. And I lifted it up, and I did not see a CPU. There was no processor on the motherboard. And that made me a little worried. And I turned the cooling fan around, and there it was. It came off completely without unlocking the little docking station for it, which was nerve-wracking for me. That's not something I thought might even possibly happen. But there was no damage to the CPU, as far as I know. I haven't reused it. because why would I? It only supports Windows 10. Who needs you? Who needs you? Get out of here. You're outdated. Nobody wants you anymore. Nobody can use you. It's no good. Get out of here. Go. Turn around. No, you can stay. You're still pretty cute and shiny. So I still had that CPU it was all good. And then in the docking station, if you will, I don't think that's the real name for it, where you put it into the motherboard, there was no damage to that, to any of where the pins go in. So I was like, okay, I guess this is fine. And I pried it off of the cooling fan. Got them all cleaned up real nice, put the new one in, technically not new to that computer, put that one in, replaced everything. And it was all good. I had updated BIOS, and that was extra scary because that can brick your machine if there's any sort of power surge while you're doing that. But all that was great. And here's the thing. I did not expect any sort of improvement to VR. It wasn't even on my radar. Okay. I was thinking CPU-related things. Maybe it would help with live streaming, having a few more apps open, because I often have 5 windows up while I'm streaming. I got the game, obviously, and then I got OBS, and then I've got a streaming app thing that allows me to have points, little Dirtcoin points for YouTube and Twitch. Chatters, viewers. There it is. I found the word, viewers. The chat points. And then I've got often another game, Stream Avatars, which is really good. I would recommend that for any live streamer, free on Steam. And then maybe another app too. So I got all this stuff happening. So I was thinking maybe if I have this improved CPU, it'll help with live streaming, fewer lag, fewer frame drops and such. But I wasn't even thinking about VR. But I just happened to have been working on some VR videos for No Man's Sky. And so I booted up No Man's Sky in VR, and there were no stutters on the loading screen. And usually the loading screen is like, it's the best part because not a ton of stuff is happening yet, but there's still some jitters. That didn't happen. And then I loaded into my world onto, I believe it was Planet Aquahaven, near my base, Pig Palace, as I called it. I think Akko came up with that name. Was it Akko? Maybe someone else, but it's definitely on stream when someone suggested, I think it was Akko, came up with that name. Anywho, I was looking around and I was like, okay, there was like a 1 or 2 second little delay at the beginning while things were loading in. But now I'm getting like 60 frames per second, and I'm looking around and everything is running smooth. And I'm not getting the thing where if you move your head back and forth real quick, you can start to see the sides, like the black screen on the sides coming in, poking in through your periphery. That wasn't happening. Everything was smooth. And I was confused. I was like, am I missing something? Did I accidentally turn all of the settings to zero, to low? And I went to the space station, I went to the anomaly, I went to outer space, I went in different vehicles. Everything was perfectly smooth. It didn't make any sense. I had never experienced this before. Usually, I would have to go to a new place and then just like wait a little bit, and then maybe I would have to turn it off and then restart in that location instead of teleporting there. Just start there, and then everything is okay. But not here, not now. Everything was so smooth. And I was flabbergasted, but I didn't believe it. I was in a state of disbelief because I did not believe it. And so I tried another game. I tried Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, of which I have a complicated relationship with. And I had been trying to play this game in VR for a long time, and I was thinking, it's just not optimized well yet. So I'll just have to wait. And it's been almost a year. I mean, look at the year. What is the year? It's 2020 something. And I was booting it up, and I got into my plane. I think I was at Chicago. I went to Chicago, and it was perfectly smooth. And I didn't know what to think. My brain wasn't functioning because I had never experienced Flight Simulator 24 with perfectly smooth VR. That was unheard of. And I even had the settings up onto medium, high. And so I took off out of O'Hare, and I flew across Lake Michigan and landed. And it was an hour and a half flight or whatever. I wasn't going very fast. It was not in like a Boeing. It was like it was somewhere in between 152, and it was like a private jet. It was like a private jet is what I was flying. So like an hour and a half flight or so over Lake Michigan, and I'm tearing up because it feels like I'm actually flying because it's VR and it looks beautiful and the sun's going down and I have a really good landing, which is abnormal for me. And I'm thinking, did I just buy a brand new computer? I mean, in a way I did, but it's unbelievable. And I tried BeamNG.Drive, which, forget it. Playing that in VR was awful. And it's still in sort of the early stages of the Vulkan renderer is still sort of in a preview stage. But I was like, if this can play Flight Simulator 24 in VR and have it be smooth and almost no frame drops, I should be able to play BeamNG.Drive. And the main reason I wanted to play that in VR was to use my controller, my gaming wheel, the name of the gaming wheel, the Logitech G28, G29, something like that. It's the one with the PlayStation logo on it. So you got the little button for PS3, PS4. But it works for PC too. It's great. I would recommend it. Not sponsored. I didn't have the gaming wheel plugged in or anything. I just wanted to try it, make sure it worked. And oh my goodness, it was flawless. And I put traffic on, and I was in the city, and it didn't even matter that I was just on the keyboard and mouse, which is not great for racing games. But I didn't care. I played for 40 minutes, and I'm just driving around, rear-ending everybody, going into what are they called? Flagpoles? Light posts. Driving everywhere I'm not supposed to be, driving super fast, destroying my vehicle, just flooding the engine every chance I get. And it's a flawless experience. It's amazing what can happen when you allow your hardware to play a game or piece of software the way it was meant to be played. And really what some of this does for me is as incredible as this was, it really makes me appreciate consoles, right? Because the PlayStation 5, the PSVR 2, most, if not all of the games play exactly as you hope they would play. Whether it's with the PS5, PS5 Pro, it's not going to be that big of a difference. It's not going to be different. It will not be different enough to be different. It's because console games, a lot of them are just optimized for that particular console, and then they look at the next console, and everything just works the way it's supposed to, and that makes me really appreciate consoles as much as I love my PC. But what a world. It's hard to know if I would have appreciated it this much if right out of the gate I had already bought the Ryzen 9 5950X. I'm 88% positive that's what it is. 92. I'm 92% positive that's the name of the CPU, the processor I got. 5950X. That sounds right. But here's the thing. I got that for less than $260, pretty sure. But if I had purchased that back in the day, back in 2021, when I was having this PC built, it would have cost $500, $600, something like that. So was it worth waiting that long just so I could get it for much cheaper? I kind of feel like it was, because then I could really appreciate that significant boost. Sometimes when you have something that's holding you back, like you're putting on ankle and wrist weights while working out, as soon as you take those off, you feel like you could jump 300 feet into the air and survive the landing. It's crazy. So, sometimes when you got things that are not great, guess what? It's just going to help you appreciate the things that are great later on. A little bit of life advice from Dirt. Because I appreciate you and I love you and I want you to have a good day. Just one singular good day. I think it's time for today's lucky color. Today's lucky color is Sun Glow. It's sort of similar to the visual look of the sun and its glow. And the hex code is pretty interesting, FFCC33. It's a nice simple one, FFCC33. That's Sun Glow for you. It's a nice little color. You can look out for that on walls. There's going to be some walls painted Sun Glow. You're going to see it maybe in a doctor's office, maybe in a magazine or two, if you ever come in contact with those. Those still exist, I think. So look out for Sun Glow. Now, before you leave, just think about this. I want to have this quandary, this little conundrum, this question in your brain. What makes potatoes better than life? I'd like you to be thinking about that. What makes potatoes better than life? Just have that on your brain as you continue the week and pursue the different adventures of the following week. All right, thanks for being here. If you have any tips about VR performance, go ahead and drop them into a comment, maybe. And if not, don't do anything. That's okay. You don't need to do a thing. No one is asking you to do a thing other than what I just did. All you really need to do is exist, and you're already doing that, so you're doing a great job. Thank you. Okay, bye.